Okay, so this will be a 4 or 5 or 6 part video series where I practice from Bach's BWV996, the first suite for solo lute, adapted for classical guitar in E minor. Um, it's one of the harder pieces that I've been practicing and playing for a while. And here's a few things that I think you need in order to play Bach on the classical guitar or on any instrument for that matter. You need discipline and persistence because the music of Bach is difficult and you have to practice a lot and often and repeatedly. So you need discipline and persistence. You need good technique in both hands. You need good dexterity. Most of his music is very challenging, so you need a good technique. You need a humble attitude because Bach was a humble person and his music usually reflects that attitude of it does get flashy at times, but not with the intent of showing off. And him as a person was a religious man and a humble man, and I think that playing with a humble attitude helps. Then you need good coffee. You need coffee. Because you'll get tired. I don't think that Bach would agree with this statement. And I don't know if people drank coffee back in the 16 and 1700s. He lived from 1685 to 1750. But I do need coffee when I practice Bach. In fact, in one of these sessions, I'm going to show you my 30-year-old copy of the Bach score for this entire suite, and it's got coffee stains all over the place because as I was practicing in college and afterwards, there was coffee involved, so there's coffee stains on there. Now, the great Spanish cellist Pablo Casals is known for discovering the solo suites for the cello by Bach in a library somewhere and practicing them for about 20 years before he dared play them in public. And I understand why. This music is very challenging and you always feel like you're not doing it justice. So back to that first thing about persistence and discipline, absolutely. This is not a very expensive guitar. It's a Yamaha C40, so it won't do Bach any justice. And the strings are the Dario, but they're kind of old. That's the thing about the Dario strings. I like them, but they get old very fast. So it's just a practice session. I'll record myself practicing here and there. I won't record the entire practice session because sometimes I go for an hour or two, but I'll just record the main parts and the main idea so you see me practice. And the first thing I want to do is just play through the first half of that last movement, the Gigue. This is Bach's BWV996. It's a suite for solo lute, adapted for classical guitar. I'm playing from the Jose Tomas edition, which is one of my favorites. And I'm playing from the Gigue, the first half today. And I'll just start by playing through without stopping for mistakes. I mean, I'm probably going to make a few because it's a hard piece, but just to give you an idea. And then I'll show you some practice strategies that I use after that. So here goes the first half of that last movement. Alright, so that's the first half of that movement. I'm badly out of tune here. Also, the strings are old again, so it doesn't help. So what's the first thing I would do is I would practice little section by little section. I have 4 little sections in this piece, in this section. So the first one is from the beginning of it. Right there. Okay, goofed it up. But that's the first, I call it the first subsection. And I would take my time to practice through that very slowly. Even though I know it by heart, but I go really slowly on purpose. Not just to help with my memory, but mostly to make sure that every voice in there is audible, it's clean. And this is a good example of counterpoint. And I want to make sure that I give more volume where needed. So when the second voice comes in, this part here, okay, so we have, and then double notes here, right here, see this business here? So every time there's a new voice coming in into the fugue, I want to try and emphasize it. Right here. Okay. Do I stop for little mistakes when I practice? Yes and no, depending on the reason. If it's just a finger slip, then I won't stop. But if it's a memory issue, or if it's a lack of comfort issue or finger awkwardness issue, then I'll stop and fix the problem. So here's that first subsection again. And I'll actually go even much slower to begin with. I just don't want to make a 2-hour video here. I would go really like, okay? And sometimes I would even start by playing without the sense of pulse or beat, like. Stop where needed. So here, I will do that slowly. So I would spend literally about 10 to 15 minutes with that first subsection. The second subsection is here's a section I practice a lot. Wait. I like that a lot. Can you hear the different voicings there? Listen. The different voices, that is. Can't stand this is out of tune. That's my second subsection. Not gonna do this for next time. this is where the third subsection starts. I like this chord. It's a C chord, so we have that's a really nice sequence. Bach uses a lot of sequence. I like that a lot. From that's the end of the third subsection, and sometimes I extend it a little bit longer. To there. So this is the beginning of the fourth subsection. So in each subsection, I would take the time to isolate those mini sections that I may struggle with, maybe for fingering, maybe for memory, maybe for emphasizing the right voice in that counterpoint scene, you know. And I would spend 10-15 minutes with each of the four subsections and then put it back together and end up the session, the practice session, about an hour long, an hour and a half, by playing the whole first half of the movement and increasing the speed very gradually. At first, no metronome. That's what I do, because I like to be able to take my time where needed. And then I would add the metronome and try to play with a steady beat. So those are the four subsections. Let me see if I can put that all together. If I were at the end of the 90-minute session, something like this. So part of my practice session, I give importance to little section, practice little section by little section, and stopping as needed. But I also take time to play through, so that when you have little slips of the finger, little memory slips, or little mistakes, to be able to quickly recover from that, as the way you have to do in a live performance. In a live performance, you can really say, okay, hold on a second, let me try that section again, my finger slipped. So you also have to practice recovering from the unexpected, unpredictable little slips of the finger or whatever happens. A little buzz of the string, to be comfortable just moving on with an imperfect performance. So that'll be my first video in this series. I don't want to make it too long. I'll be practicing this piece. I can play almost the entire suite. I used to play the whole thing in college. I'm returning to it. I can play the first movement pretty well. I can play the Allemande really well. The third movement, I'm working on it. The fourth movement, I'm working on it. The Bourrée, I can play really well. And this is the last one. This is the Gigue at the end with two long, difficult counterpoint sections. So I'll make a few videos of me practicing this last movement, and maybe I'll get into more detail in the second video and offer you maybe some advice, some pointers, maybe some difficulties that I struggle with. So yeah, anyways, thanks for watching my video. If you have questions or comments, feel free to write them at the bottom. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please take a moment to do that. I would really appreciate that. Give my video a thumbs up. Have a great week. It's Monday. Looking forward to having a great week. Play some Bach this week. Don't forget to have persistence and discipline, and get some good technique by practicing your scales and arpeggios and exercises. And so you get a good technique in both hands. I forget some of the other things that I said. Have a humble attitude when you play Bach. I don't always feel like I have it, like I got it. With the music of Bach, I always approach it with humility and with the thought that this is still a little bit above, or actually quite above my level, always motivating me to push myself and to play it better and better every time. And coffee. You can get some coffee. Black coffee, nothing in it. I think I dubbed some half and half in here today, but I usually go with just black coffee, nothing in there. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great week. Have a great day. See you next time.